Hey Pens fans, welcome to Pens Den, home of your 5-time Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins. How'd the second week of the season go for the Penguins? We'll find out, coming right up. Well, the Penguins just completed their second week of the season, and it was different than the first week of the season. All 3 games that they played were 1-goal games. Let's get into it and take a look and see. The first game that they had was a nationally televised game against the Washington Capitals. That just happened to be a game where the Penguins scored all their goals. All 3 goals were scored on the power play. Matt Murray looked fantastic in net. Couldn't say enough about him, making some great and timely saves. It was a good game. The Penguins seemed very aggressive after the puck. They were chasing after loose pucks. They really didn't give Washington free rein. You could tell in some sequences Alexander Ovechkin, even though he did score, was very frustrated. He had a very frustrating evening. You could tell, especially at the end of the game when he was walking off the ice. And I don't know about you, I don't think that's a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. Although everybody in the NHL world are saying, oh, he'll probably score about 75 goals this year. Well, he can score as many goals as he wants. He has President's trophies, but he doesn't have the Stanley Cup. So we'll move on to the game against the Lightning. Now, this was the number 2 of 19 back-to-back games that the Penguins played this year. And it started out kind of rough. It was very much not a defensive contest, if you want to look at it that way. The Penguins really seemed at times like they were on their heels. But then as the game went on, they really picked up steam, and had they had probably more than another 5 minutes, they might have ended up tying up that game. But as it were, they just had some bad luck. Victor Hedman scored a goal with 0.1 seconds left. You know, how often does that kind of thing happen? I mean, it's very rare. But one of the things that did impress me are the kids, and I'll call them the kids, Connor Sheary and Brian Rust. You know, Connor Sheary's had some great play this first early part of the season, and so is Brian Rust. He not so much going on the scoreboard, but I mean, he's really creating a lot of opportunities, a lot of chances. It was very good. It was good. It's good to see that. A lot of people were very frustrated with Antti Niemi. Now, granted, this is only his second game with the Penguins, and it was the same situation as his first game. It came on a back-to-back game, and it was not very much of a defensive game. He did make some, as Mike Sullivan said, he did make some 10-bail saves, so he's very impressed with him as far as that's concerned. To me, I think he really kind of needs to settle down. He looks very anxious, very excited, kind of like, as someone put it, on 5-hour energy. He needs to kind of settle down, and I think that will come. I'm hopeful the next game that he's in, the defense can start to rise up and play to where, you know, we're at the point where he gets the support he needs and he deserves. Several times I did catch him out of position. So I'm sure that's something that Mike Sullivan and the coaching staff is going to work on with him. He did win a Stanley Cup. He is a winner. So, you know, and he is the backup goaltender. So I think they'll work with him. And I think, again, you know, once the defense starts rising up and playing like we know they can play, I think that'll kind of take care of itself. Now, again, last night's game was against the Florida Panthers, and you know, none of these games, you know, it's almost is a cliche. There's no easy game in the NHL anymore, and there really isn't. The Panthers have kind of retooled themselves. Of course, they don't have Yager anymore, but Huberdeau is just a force to be reckoned with. He had 2 goals last night. And it seemed the time that the Panthers put the Penguins on their heels. Again, some odd man breakouts. You know, a couple of things that the Penguins are going to have. I mean, they did win. And Crosby got 2 goals last night, which is always great. And the second one was just nearly an impossible goal. I don't know how other to describe it. It's a Sidney Crosby goal. He performs the impossible on a game-by-game basis. But the one thing that really kind of stood out, well, 2 things kind of stood out for me. Penguins are going to have to work on their stick management and in terms of this new slashing rule, because it's not going away. It's going to be here, and both teams are going to get called. Both teams in a game, they'll get called for this. And the Penguins have had quite a few of their share of these stick infractions. They're going to have to find a way to discipline themselves. And if there's anybody that can get them disciplined, it's Mike Sullivan. I mean, I think he's an expert at it. He does well at it. That's something I fully think that he'll be able to get that reined in and get them cutting down on those penalties. The other thing that I saw again last night, and it's this old habit that they fall into during a power play, they're playing precision passing. They're putting on a passing clinic. Well, you know, I know, and trust me, I've been around hockey a lot. I've been to over 700 NHL games. You know, I do know that you do need to set up for a shot, and I understand that. But there are so many times when that shot's there and they don't take it. Now, that not only on the power play, I noticed a couple of times, I love Sidney Crosby. He's my favorite player, but there are times that he should shoot instead of pass the puck. And there were a couple of times last night. They came so close to getting some other goals. And credit the Panthers goalie last night. He really kind of kept them in the game. And also got to credit Matt Murray. Matt Murray played an outstanding game last night, especially that last minute when Florida had their goalie pulled, and they just turned up the thumb screws as far as pressure is concerned, and Murray was making save after save, and those were all 10-bell saves. He is excellent. We're very fortunate to have him. So that is really kind of it in a nutshell for the 3 games. Penguins went 2-1 during these 3 games. An injury update, Ian Cole skated before one of the practices the other day, which is a great sign. Didn't skate with the team, but he skated before one of the practices, so that's good news. He's making progress, so I don't think he's going to be on injured reserve too long, which is always a good thing. And as a side note, another injury note, but this is not of the Penguins. Last night, or I believe it was Friday, the Vegas Golden Knights lost their first game to the Detroit Red Wings. And in that game, I don't know what period it was, Marc-Andre Fleury got kneed in the head. Well, Marc-Andre Fleury is now on injured reserve. He does have a concussion, and it's my understanding from what I've seen out there as far as on the internet that the Vegas Golden Knights did not follow concussion protocol. I'm going to come out here and I'm going to say this. This is an opinion. This is me here. This is nobody else. But I'm sure my opinion is a lot of people will share this with me. If you had somebody who's had a history of concussion protocol and he gets hit in the head, you follow concussion protocol. Okay, Marc-Andre Fleury's had concussions in the past. You don't mess with somebody's health. I mean, you know, there are many of us out there who love Marc-Andre Fleury and wish him nothing but the best in his endeavors with the Vegas Golden Knights. But that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. An organization needs to be proactive and wanting their players to be healthy, because a healthy player helps them win games. I mean, it's to their benefit, it's to their advantage, and it makes them have a long career. So I'm hoping that he'll be able to get over this concussion in due order. But the real problem here is, you know, that they did not follow concussion protocol. And I'm hoping that either the league or maybe the players union or something will step in on Marc-Andre Fleury's behalf, because that was just totally uncalled for. Absolutely, totally uncalled for. Well, that's it for the second week of the season. Penguins have another week coming up where looks like they're going to be on the road. They're going to be playing the Rangers and the Devils the next 2 games. The Rangers have just lost their last 2, so let's see how things will go on Tuesday night in Madison Square Garden. That's it. If you like what you've seen, please hit the like button, subscribe, and tell others about our channel. Also, be sure to check out my blog where I post mini reviews and updates on the Penguins. Also, as a side note, want to let you know that my Twitter account now is hooked up to where my in-game tweets are going to post on the Pens Den fan page out on Facebook, and vice versa. Anything that is posted on Facebook is going to come out on Twitter. So if you're looking for in-game updates, always take a look at Twitter. You can see I have close to 3,000 followers on Twitter. And you could also be able to check that on Facebook if you're not into Twitter. That way you'll be able to catch in-game updates. And a lot of times I do post a lot of the goals because I know there's some people aren't able to catch the game for one reason or another. And I want to make sure that they'll be able to get some goal updates there. So thanks a lot for watching, and let's go Pens.